9 dark secrets from old Hollywood that the studios tried to bury forever. From Charlie Chaplin to Judy Garland, these are the most shocking, disturbing, and heartbreaking scandals that once threatened to destroy the entire golden age of cinema. The glamorous facade, the hidden monsters behind the camera. If you think you know Hollywood's dark side, you haven't heard anything yet. Stay with me, because these stories will shock you to the core. The early patterns of obsession. At the height of his global fame, the comedy genius Charlie Chaplin became notorious for his relentless pursuit of young women. He didn't just date them, he was fixated on their youth. His first famous romance was with 19-year-old co-star Edna Purviance. He famously bragged about sleeping with over 2,000 women in his lifetime. When asked about his ideal woman, he coldly replied, "I don't necessarily love her, but she completely loves me." A chilling insight into his true character. The marriage to Lita Grey. 4 years later, at 29, Chaplin met 16-year-old Mildred Harris. A rushed marriage followed, ending in a bitter divorce. But it got darker. He then hooked up with 15-year-old Lita Grey, whom he had actually met when she was just 6 years old and even cast in his film The Kid. In 1925, still just a teenager, Lita fell pregnant. Chaplin demanded she have an abortion, but she refused. Their short-lived union produced 2 sons, but it crashed in a messy, public 1927 divorce. Final controversies and Una O'Neill. Chaplin didn't stop. He soon fell for 22-year-old Paulette Goddard while he was in his 40s. They married in 1936, but split by 1942. Finally, in his 50s, Chaplin met 18-year-old Una O'Neill, daughter of playwright Eugene O'Neill. While many thought his romantic life was finished, this was different. They married, had 8 children, and lived happily, until the very end. The true love he sought for decades, he finally found, even though she was 36 years his junior. A complex end to a controversial life. The grim reality. For many young actresses in early Hollywood, survival was a brutal game. Even icons like Joan Crawford were not immune. Before she was an MGM legend, Crawford struggled just to stay afloat. The rumors that have haunted her legacy for decades? That as a desperate teenager, she allegedly starred in adult films like Velvet Lips, The Casting Couch, and The Plumber, just to earn a paycheck. The MGM cover-up. As Crawford climbed the ladder to stardom, these rumors became a massive liability. It is widely whispered that MGM hired fixers, individuals with ties to the mafia, to hunt down and bury the evidence. Crawford herself vehemently denied these allegations, but the breadcrumbs remain. When she finally left MGM in 1943, she paid the studio $50,000, a figure many believe was hush money to keep those dark tapes hidden forever. A husband's confession. The most chilling evidence comes from her first husband, Douglas Fairbanks Jr. He revealed that Crawford was terrified he would discover the film she made during her years of financial struggle. He recounted, quote, "Billy was terrified I'd find out about the film she made when she was broke. When she told me, I tried to get every detail, what she wore, what she did, but all I got were tears. Was it a dark past she couldn't escape, or a ghost the studio silenced? The truth remains buried in Hollywood's vault."
The studio's iron grip.
Compared to Hollywood today, the golden age might seem glamorous, but beneath the surface, it was a prison. Studios held absolute control over every aspect of an actor's life, and for women, it was a nightmare. They were marketed as sex symbols and firebrands, and motherhood was seen as a career-ending move. If you got pregnant, you were forced to choose your career or your child. A brutal reality. Your status didn't matter. In fact, the more famous you were, the more pressure you faced. Icons like Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, Judy Garland, and Lana Turner all forced to undergo abortions under the studio's iron-fisted demands. It wasn't just a choice, it was a corporate requirement. The studios would orchestrate the entire ordeal, checking the actresses into hospitals under fake pretexts, claiming they were suffering from ear infections or simply needed rest. The ultimate betrayal. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect? The complicity. In some cases, parents themselves colluded with the studios to protect the image of their child stars. Judy Garland's own mother, deeply entwined with the studio machine, personally arranged for her daughter's abortion during her marriage to David Rose. A life of fame, bought at the cost of their own autonomy. A hidden, bloody history that the industry fought to keep in the dark.
The nightmare begins.
When you watch Dorothy dancing in The Wizard of Oz, you see magic. But behind the scenes, it was pure horror. Judy Garland was just 13 when she signed with MGM's mogul, Louis B. Mayer. What seemed like the chance of a lifetime quickly spiraled into a living nightmare. By 14, the studio had brainwashed her so severely that Judy began calling herself, quote, a terrifyingly fat little pig with pigtails. A lethal diet. To force her into the ideal shape, MGM imposed a brutal, life-destroying regimen. Her diet? Only chicken soup and black coffee, fueled by cigarettes and heavy amphetamines to suppress her appetite. It wasn't just a diet, it was chemical warfare against a young girl's body. This regime left her with a lifelong battle against eating disorders and severe drug addiction, scars that would haunt her until her final days. The grooming of a star. The abuse didn't stop there. Older studio executives frequently sexually harassed her. Louis B. Mayer himself would tell Judy she had a voice from the heart while placing his hand directly over her chest. Judy later remarked with heartbreaking irony, "I was just lucky I didn't sing with any other part of my body." A child star, exploited by the very people tasked to protect her. The golden age of Hollywood, built on the broken spirit of a young girl. The fatal attraction. Lana Turner was the ultimate Hollywood siren, but behind the glamour, her love life was a chaotic storm. She married 8 times and dated icons like Frank Sinatra, but her darkest chapter involved a man she couldn't escape, Johnny Stompanato. A notorious figure with underworld connections, their relationship was volatile, toxic, and dangerously intense. In 1958, the world was stunned when Stompanato was found dead inside Turner's home. A tragic defense. The investigation that followed became one of the biggest scandals in Tinseltown history. During the intense legal proceedings, Lana's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, stepped forward with a shocking confession. She admitted to the act, claiming she did it to save her mother's life. According to Turner, on that fateful night, Stompanato had threatened to harm her and her daughter. In a split-second decision to protect her parent, Cheryl took action. The shadow of doubt. The authorities ultimately ruled it a justifiable act, but the court of public opinion was far less forgiving. Rumors began to spread like wildfire, whispers that Lana herself was the one responsible and that she had convinced her young daughter to take the blame, believing a minor would face lighter consequences. Was it a brave act of defense by a child or a calculated move by a desperate mother? The truth remains one of Hollywood's most debated mysteries, a Hollywood catastrophe. In 1921, the glitz of Hollywood was shattered by one of its most infamous scandals. Virginia Rapp, a young, aspiring model, attended a high-profile party at the St. Francis Hotel with comedian Fatty Arbuckle. At the time, Arbuckle was a titan, having just signed a massive million-dollar deal with Paramount. But by the end of the night, the celebration turned into a nightmare that would destroy his career forever. A dark accusation. Witnesses claimed Arbuckle pressured the intoxicated 26-year-old Rapp into a private room. One witness, Maud Delmont, reported hearing blood-curdling screams. When the door finally opened, Arbuckle stood there with a chilling, foolish smile, while Rapp was found writhing in agony on the bed. Days later, Rapp passed away due to a ruptured bladder and peritonitis. The public was outraged, and the headlines screamed of assault. A mystery unresolved. Arbuckle maintained his innocence, claiming he only tried to help a sick woman. He was eventually acquitted of manslaughter, and some suggest Rapp had a pre-existing medical condition. Yet, the public never truly forgave him. The crushing allegations destroyed his reputation, and the truth became buried under decades of speculation. 2 lives, 2 big dreams, and a tragedy that remains one of the most haunting enigmas in cinematic history. A rising star's defiance. In 1935, 22-year-old Frances Farmer arrived in Los Angeles with dreams of stardom. She shared the screen with legends like Bing Crosby and Cary Grant, but she was never a typical starlet. Frances was strong-headed, aloof, and refused to play the Hollywood game. The studio tried to market her as the rebel, but behind the scenes, her life was beginning to spiral into a public and painful collapse. A spiral into chaos. Her unraveling was swift. In 1942, she was arrested for driving drunk during a wartime blackout, reportedly spitting at the officer and telling him, "You bore me." Soon, she was caught in a cycle of disorderly conduct and substance abuse, admitting she would drink anything she could get her hands on, including Benzedrine. Her family, overwhelmed and desperate, committed her to a series of psychiatric institutions, a decision that would forever haunt her legacy. The darkness within. Her time in the hospital became a living nightmare. Frances later claimed she was subjected to horrific abuse, including being restrained in padded cells, force-fed tainted food, and trapped in an environment of constant terror. Though some stories about her treatment, like a rumored lobotomy, were later disputed, the damage was irreversible. Emerging in 1950, she tried to reclaim her career, but the trauma was too deep. Frances Farmer died in 1970, a woman better remembered for her tragic scandals than the light she once brought to the silver screen. A childhood stolen. Shirley Temple is remembered as Hollywood's most iconic child star, but her rise to fame was built on a dark and troubling foundation. At just 3 years old, she was cast in a series of comedic shorts called Baby Burlesques. While intended as parodies, these shorts often crossed the line into inappropriate portrayals of adult themes. Instead of a normal childhood, a 4-year-old Shirley was directed to perform in ways completely unsuited for her age. Beyond the camera. These performances were not just awkward, they were a cynical exploitation of childhood. In shorts like Politics in Washington and War Babies, young Shirley was directed to emulate adult behavior, trading on her innocence for entertainment. Looking back, Temple herself didn't see these as stepping stones to success, but as Hollywood scandals, describing them as a cynical exploitation of our childish innocence. The industry treated her not as a child, but as a commodity to be shaped for profit. The brutal discipline. Even worse was the environment behind the scenes. According to historical records, discipline on the set was horrific. To punish child actors who didn't follow direction, director Charles Lamont allegedly used a soundproof black box, a cramped, dark space containing a block of ice. Children were forced to endure the freezing, humid air or sit directly on the ice as punishment. It was a cold, calculated system of fear, turning the dreams of young children into a harrowing experience of endurance.
The Nazi propagandist.
In the 1930s, Adolf Hitler possessed a secret cinematic weapon, Leni Riefenstahl. With films like Triumph of the Will, she masterfully crafted the Nazi Party's image, turning hate into hypnotic propaganda. She was part of Hitler's inner circle, a visionary whose talent was inextricably linked to one of history's most brutal regimes. In 1938, she sought to cement her status by embarking on a high-profile pilgrimage to the heart of the film world, Hollywood. A chilling arrival. Initially, America was bedazzled. Journalists were obsessed with her style, her 17 trunks of luxury clothing, and the scandalous whispers of a romance with Hitler himself. New York welcomed her like a hero, with headlines breathlessly covering her every move. But the fairy tale ended abruptly on November 9, 1938. As news reached the U.S. of Kristallnacht, the horrific state-sponsored violence against Germany's Jewish communities, the American public woke up to the true face of the Nazi regime. The door slams shut. When Riefenstahl finally arrived at the gates of Hollywood, she found them bolted shut. Major studios and elite figures, including Walt Disney, refused to meet with her or promote her work. Infuriated, Riefenstahl lashed out, claiming she was a victim of a hostile industry. But Hollywood had made its choice. By refusing this top-tier propagandist, the film industry took a stand that history would eventually vindicate. A rare moment of collective morality in a city often built on illusions.
From lies to tragedy.
Hollywood's golden age was never as perfect as it looked on screen. Behind every legendary face lay a history of secrets, survival, and sometimes total devastation. These 9 scandals are more than just gossip. They are the brutal reality of a dream factory that often demanded everything in return. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. If this journey through history opened your eyes, hit that like button, subscribe to Vintage Shots, and join us for our next deep dive into the shadows of the past. Thanks for watching.